All right, we are not announcing a jewelry line, I don't think, during this panel, but we are going to talk about another cultural icon, which is Vaseline. So thank you so much for joining me on stage, Louis and David. So, okay, we're just going to give everybody a moment to come back to us. Okay, all good? All right, perfect. So let's talk about, we're here to talk about this transition from medicine cabinet to cultural icon, Louis. I want to start with, not a lot of brands have 150 years worth of legacy to attribute to their name. Can you tell us a little bit more about what has been the resonance? Is it just product utility because it's a fantastic product, or has the brand been nurtured to outlast generations?
Sure. First of all, hello everyone. We are the last thing between now and lunch. Thanks for staying with us, and nice to see you all. Now, it's an honor to talk about Vaseline here. Like, we have a brand with over 150 years of history, and I feel like I'm here just being a temporary custodian for this amazing brand. Answering your question, I think it's a combination of actually being a really good product, but over this more than 150 years, it's a brand that managed to stay relevant in culture and to build trust over time. For me, actually, since the pandemic, we all saw, I think, a huge rediscovery of iconic brands. And the trust that a brand like Vaseline has, it is something that is very hard to build. So when you combine, a really good product with over 150 years of trust that you build with innovations and marketing campaigns and engagements that manage to keep this brand relevant over time, I think that's the real secret of success.
And I mean, I have a follow-up to that, which is also like around this trust element. It's because you've almost become a category of your own, because you don't really say, pass me the jelly or pass me the cream. You say, pass me the Vaseline. So within that, there's this inherent, both like a joy and a risk, because you have such a wide product portfolio. So how do you kind of use that categorization to your brand's benefit as opposed to something that locks you in?
That's a good question. We love that we are category synonymous, but at the same time, we, as a brand, we have huge awareness. So I think anywhere we go in the world, even in markets where we're not present, the brand has an awareness, has relevance, and that's a really good starting point. The number of new brands that are launched every day in skincare is just crazy. So to have a starting point of a very high awareness, it's a huge benefit. Now, for us, more than just the brand name is what we stand for. And we stand for healthy skin for all. And it's a brand that for over 150 years has always been very clearly positioned to be all about skin health. And in a world of skincare where there's always a new trend, a new fad, a new ingredient, to be that iconic brand that stands for skin health, it's something that is incredibly valuable. So whenever we are going to new categories, new formats, we are present in sun care, body serums, lip care, face care. And whenever we go to different categories or different formats, this functional heart or this brand purpose of healthy skin for all, it's something that we carry on. And being very clear about that unique proposition, and within that, how is it going to be relevant in the new format? When we are very clear, we are successful. When we are not, we're not successful.
That's interesting, because basically you're talking about what binds the product portfolio together in spite of being known in one thing. And we'll talk a little bit more about Healthy Skin for All shortly. But David, you are the steward, if you like, of the brand. You've been working with them for over 6 years. There's an inherent kind of I would say it's like not a pressure, but there's a legacy that you have to carry when you work with a brand as large and as influential as Vaseline. How do you see that? Do you sort of take the legacy and turn it into something that you carry forward, or how do you kind of reinvent without taking away the very foundations of what's built the trust of the brand?
So when we started working with Vaseline, the first thing that we had was, what is our ambition? And I had admired, so I worked for many years, and Louis and I was joking earlier today that, within Unilever, it's all about Dove. Dove is the big brand, right? And I worked for
Not just Dove anymore.
No. But it was, historically, right? And when we started working, so me, I had observed Vaseline for many, many years. I worked for many years in London, and I had observed Vaseline from the distance for many, many years. And Vaseline was with a great agency for many, many years, which was called BBH. And I used to look at that work and thinking, this is great work, right? When we got the brand, I made it, I saw two missions for us. The first one was to do better than BBH, right? And the second one was to give that brand the work it deserves. I had the inherent, and I was not the only one, Louis was the same, everyone, we all shared that same ambition, which was we had not really cracked it. We had not gone and given that brand was iconic, the work was not iconic enough. So we started working on this day in, day out. Right? And for that, you need to leverage your core. So that's the reason why petroleum jelly was very, very important, because it was really the ability to be able to have your Big Mac equivalent, your Heinz bottle equivalent, right? So that gave us really a starting point, what Louis was saying as well, with regards to the awareness of the brand. But we had to take risk. We had to push. And we pushed. And I have to say that we pushed for many years, and we got nothing. I remember Louis and I, we went to Cannes the first time together. We had a great campaign for Vaseline lips we were very proud of. Didn't even get a shortlist. So we were just like, it's easy to say, I want to do better than BBH, I want to do better than those agencies. You got to prove it, right? So, but what we kept is that we learned every time, and we knew that we had to push at scale. We had to do more, because at that point in time, we had at a crossroads where either we tried to do tactical, cool stuff, or we genuinely tried to elevate the quality of the brand. And that led, like one thing leading to another, to the transition body lotion that we did last year, which we were very proud because we were...
Can you tell everybody a little bit more about that for context?
Yeah, I mean, basically, what as Louis said, we were standing for healthy skin for all. And when you stand for healthy skin for all, what we realized collectively is that in Thailand, which is the second largest transgender market in the world, not to say the largest, I think, probably in that, right? And which happened to be our second largest market as well, right? There was no, despite having over 1,500 different SKUs for beauty products, there was not one kind of a moisturizing cream that was actually designed for transition. And you had like a high amount of kind of a reasonably young Thai people that were transitioning one way or the other, and actually not having to mix multiple different products to try to meet their needs, because they had skin transition that was actually creating some issues, health issues, that they needed to correct and couldn't find one product that could. So that's where we thought, this is for me taking risk. It was just, rather than going and say, we're going to do like everyone else, do a campaign, advocacy campaign for the transgender community, we're going to go launch a new product. And we did. And it took us 2 years of R&D, a lot of work has gone into it. And we're very proud, because that's where you start mixing purpose with product, in that kind of good old tension of, should I follow my purpose or should I advocate for my product? Well, your product should be the best advocate of your purpose. And I think that's where we made a switch. And it was pretty cool, because that gave Vaseline that, we won the first ever Grand Prix in Cannes last year, which was a glass Grand Prix, which was really close to our heart as well, as a Grand Prix itself. And we were really proud to do that, because it's just suddenly put Vaseline on the world scene. Whether we like Cannes or not, this for us was a signal. And the main thing about that signal is that the following year, this year, we won another 2 Grand Prix and the first ever titanium with Vaseline verified, right? So That was really, and now everyone wants to work on Vaseline, and now everyone thinks that Vaseline is the new Dove. That was mission accomplished. Right?
Well, it's interesting because one of the things we've spoken about is healthy skin for all, which is the binding factor here, and this notion of product and purpose. But I think when we spoke before, Louis, you were saying that where you get your authority from is caring about skin and having a space in skin, right? And everybody sees today, and I think even Tina alluded to this, like how social media has changed our perceptions of skin, has changed, unrealistic standards, beauty, filters, God knows, like what other ways that AI will further that, trope. My question to you is, how do you stay on message in terms of how do you focus on healthy skin for all when there's so much pressure to play a role in solving all of these problems as well?
That's a great question. In fact, I think it has never been more important to focus on skin health for us and in skincare. In fact, this is a category and an industry that is always coming up with new trends, new fads. And in Vaseline, we like to say that we are health beyond the hype. And that means really that instead of chasing the next trend, we're always trying to do better at this heart of what we do, because we believe that skin health is at the heart of skin beauty, no matter what. And if we're really, really good at it, that's a positioning that is timeless. And at the same time, I think that the world we are in right now, we are benefiting from this positioning, because I feel like consumers are tired of like chasing the next trend or the next ingredient, and then a positioning that stands for something so simple and obviously good as skin health has been benefiting for us and for consumers. And I think particularly now within the industry, and this is now talking a little bit more about skincare, the world of beauty is merging with the world of health. So I think we're all very familiar with this, like health and wellness. It's the same category. It's in fact, how the healthy lifestyle and understanding our body as a whole and how it connects to beauty has never been more integrated than it is right now. And that that's at the heart of what we do in Vaseline in terms of our positioning, in terms of what our products stand for. So in the world of the latest K-beauty, no matter what, and actually no matter what country, this positioning for Vaseline has never been more relevant than it is today.
You've actually just stolen my next question, which was all about culture and about K-beauty and C-beauty. And like there's so many different trends. And there's also, because we're in Asia, and I know everyone likes to say Asia, like it's one big box that can just be unraveled at once. But Asia is made up of so many diasporas, diversity. There's so many different, like you were talking, David, about Thailand and its unique, issue that you wanted to, or gap rather, that you wanted to fill in the market. How much pressure is there, or how difficult is it to navigate in Asia versus anywhere else? Because you have to keep these cultural nuances in mind, and it's not a one-stop-all solution, right?
I think that, as Louis said, chasing the trend is a tricky thing. I think the biggest thing that we can do right now, because is fighting misinformation. And that's really something that we have started to do, doing it in a fun way, because no one wants to be lectured, right? And certainly not for those kind of products, right? But I think there's something that is happening right now, is that it has gone, I always find that it's quite ironical that Donald Trump kind of named his network The Truth, right? But there's some kind of truth in that, is that where is the truth? It's getting harder and harder now to find the truth in things. And the other thing that has happened during the pandemic and since the pandemic as well is that science has been actually relegated to a second base, right? So there's been a bit of a, do I really trust science? Do I really believe in science? I think what we can do with what we have as a brand and as a business and the way we're communicating is using science to prove what is right, what is wrong, and doing it in a fun way. right? And fighting misinformation, at least in what we sell, which is skin health. You see what I mean? For the rest, it's not our business to do. But trying to fight misinformation, right? And that really opens a door. When you start, and you can look at what we've done recently with Vaseline Verified, is that when you start co-creating with creators, co-creating with the communities, bringing the science community and create a dialogue between those communities, right? And as the brand, rather than pushing down some kind of public service announcement or pushing down what you think people want to hear or should hear, you try to make it facilitate and make it come a little bit like what we do now, trying to make it come out from the people so that they feel a little bit more educated and a little bit wiser to understand this is a good thing to do, maybe this thing is not so much, right? Then suddenly, and if you can do that in a way that is fun, and that's the reason why I think for this audience it's important, because the partnerships that we have, the way we are dealing with culture is really, really critical. Otherwise it becomes either boring or lecturing, which none of those things are working, certainly not in the beauty world. Then suddenly you can start helping people navigate. And I think that's where probably our biggest opportunity is, not just for us, but for the whole industry, is that people are getting tired because they are getting, ironically, the biggest paradox is that the more informed they are, the less informed they are. They struggle to make the right choice for what they think is right for them. They think they know, and then they realize that they don't. We can resolve that, and I think that's what we're working on.
So I guess maybe to follow up with you, Louis, on that, then does that mean that I mean, that's a really interesting point, because research and R&D and development is such a huge facet of working on a skincare brand, and, all of the different representation that comes along with it. So does that information and that research then become the binding factor that no matter what cultural background you're from, no matter what, unique, like let's say if you're from India, let's say if you're from Korea, you're from China, that good research stands and good insights stand no matter which market you're in?
So it's a good one, because Vaseline is such a global brand, and at the same time, each market, maybe there will be a different products that perform better than others, or different needs or benefit spaces that are more relevant than others. So, for example, I just came back from Brazil, and where I'm from. So hello if there's any Brazilian here in the audience. But it's very funny, like the brand in Brazil, like say the jelly, is not so relevant because Brazil, it's a warmer country. But actually, our lip care product in Brazil right now is like super on trend. Like my friends were telling me that their daughters love the Vaseline lip product, and they were asking me to bring them more, because they just love it. And then, and for them, it's that the lip balm from Vaseline with color is like an entry level to makeup. Right. And that we see that in many, many markets. In fact, in Asia as well, that is also true. But while, let's say in Thailand, consumers use we have a body serum in Vaseline that consumers see it as a beauty product, not a moisturizer, but as a beauty product for their skin. And then you go to China, it's very cold in the winter, and then we launched in China recently a dermatological range from Vaseline that is like super efficient in terms of like core moisturization, but with therapeutic grade ingredients. So. And then what I'm trying to say with this is that no matter what country, there is something in the brand that makes it highly relevant in the market. And I was talking about product needs here, but the same is true for how we engage with consumers, and what's trending, what are the right partners we want to cooperate with. So it's important that we figure out really what is this brand we stand for globally, but then how do we make ourselves highly relevant in each market? And then who do we partner with? What are the products we're going to drive? What resonates with consumers? And to do that, we do a lot of work in terms of connecting with consumers, and then engaging with the science. Okay, then how we're going to develop the product that's relevant for this market. And again, always, and I keep saying this all the time, but what in our positioning is the way we're going to make it relevant in that category, in that format, with that collaboration.
It feels like what you're describing is, because, you know, the whole topic of here is like medicine cabinet to cultural icon. So it feels like you're talking about a grassroots culture up, you know, rather than being like, how do we participate in culture? You're sort of like, how do we become foundational with culture and grow with it? And that's something that I want to talk to you. I'm going to ask both of you this question. I'll start with you, David, which is, there's going to be a generation, like, there's 150 years of legacy, but there's going to be a generation coming up that Vaseline is going to mean something different to them because they'll have to build their own emotional connection and resonance with it, right? Like, when I was growing up, I vehemently used Vaseline, and now because of Korean skincare with slugging and everything, like, it is one. I think it's slugging, right? Like, that's
right.
I was forgetting which insect it was. It was definitely slugging. But I, like, personally have my own affiliation with the brand, and I love it. But there'll be future generations that maybe don't understand the resonance that I have. So, from your standpoint, David, is like, again, as a steward of the brand, as someone carrying forward that legacy, how do you ensure that there's emotional connection and genuine resonance with the brand?
I think it's not really rocket science. It's just difficult to do. I mean, the first thing is staying relevant. So I think what Vaseline has done really, really well is, one, staying relevant, and two, staying true to itself. And I think that's the thing, is that, you know, in order, I mean, we all often think that consistency is just a matter of kind of doing more of the same. It's not. It's changing over time, all the time. But you have to change at the same speed as the people. And I think if we can do that, I'm not worried about the next generations. There will be many, many more. The worst thing that can happen is when the young generation tells you, this is my grandmother's brand, or this is my mother's brand, this is not for me. It means that the brand and we have not moved fast enough at their speed to keep up. And I think that what Louis was talking about, all the products like Vaseline Lips is a great case in point. I could see that Vaseline Lips could be the iconic product of Vaseline in the next 30, 40 years, the equivalent of our petroleum jelly. It has that potential. It has that iconicity, and it has that relevance. So it's in everyone's purse. I mean, that's the first thing my daughter said. She's 16, and she said, "You're working on Vaseline?" I thought she would say, "This is not a cool brand." She said, "Oh, that's so cool." She opened her purse, tuck, Vaseline Lips. Right? So I think for me, it's those two things. When we say we go at the speed of culture, we need to go at the speed of culture of the people. We need to move at the same speed. If we keep on doing that, then I'm not worried.
The only thing I would add is, when we work with an iconic brand like Vaseline, there is so much stuff that is happening in the world. And I think one of the biggest aha moments for us was when we started to give the brand back to the users. Our consumers, our users, our fans, they actually own the brand. And I think this campaign we did recently with the Vaseline Verify that David was talking about was that moment where you know what? It's yours. Let's maybe just engage with what you're already doing with the brand. And that led to new campaign ideas, new innovations, because, we cannot be arrogant to think that we own this brand. It has 150 years. It has maybe 2 billion consumers around the world. We don't own it. We're just like managing it for now, custodian it, but we cannot try to control it. And the moment that we let control go, it's just magic happens.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think that content creator thing you were talking about before as well, David, in terms of like bringing together people, it feels like it's a community-led initiative, right? Because you can't do it in isolation. And there are lots of people here today who are like, okay, I don't have a 150-year-old brand, so where do I even begin if I want a 150-year-old brand? And also, what is even 150 years from now going to look like? Will our lips even be attached to us? Will they be floating? Will we be using Vaseline lips in the ether? But I'm sure there's some insight and some advice that you can give, both of you, in terms of to anyone else who wants to achieve the level of trust and resonance and relevancy and also endurance that something like Vaseline has. Where do you start from? Besides, keeping true to your principles and, listening to your community, what's maybe like a little insight that you can give from your own experience?
Okay, I think if there is a lesson I drive from the experience on Vaseline, is that I think the level of commitment to quality, trust, to do something unique and different is key. So you imagine, like, I feel that very often we start a business and we start to think, how am I going to win in the short term? And it's critical because there's no long term without the short term. But if you start thinking that you're building something that will, survive generations, I think you start thinking differently. You don't need to try to be gigantic in the first 2 years, 3 years, but you need to think of something that will be meaningful in the long term. And I think if you start building that, everything will flow. Like, I'm gonna, trust for me is key. I'm gonna build something that will stay relevant for many, many years to come. And I'm not gonna just chase whatever is trending in the short term, but something that will be meaningful, forever. I don't know. It's hard to answer this question, but at least
no, that's very insightful.
That come to my mind. What about you, David? What do you say?
I think for me, it's working with the best people and making them want to work for your brand. That's everything we've done is designed for that. And now we have managed to bring Vaseline to a level where we have some of the best people, some of the best partners in their areas wanting to work for Vaseline. My advice for any brands is underwrite to do that. You think that it's a given because we have 150 years, because we're Unilever, because we're WPP, because we had to earn it. And we had to work bloody hard to get to this point. And now there's something quite exciting to the idea that now we have some of the best companies, some of the best brains, some of the best creatives all around the world, from creators all the way to people in this audience, people in this, this place and within our companies and everything, who want to work on Vaseline. This is the best you can get. When you have the best people wanting to work on your business and doing their best work, you have suddenly maximized your chances of success significantly and exponentially.
We have about 2 minutes left, so I'm going to ask one final question to both of you, which is, what do you hope will be the cultural impact of Vaseline moving forward in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years? I mean, David, from your point of view, I'd like to know in terms of the work and the collaborations that you'd like to do. But for you, Louis, I'd like to know what's next. What do you look forward to?
Well, I'll start from the business. I think this brand is 25% the size of its potential. This brand can become 4 times bigger than it is. We are limited by the resources, time, money, people, but the potential this brand has is gigantic. I think we didn't give enough priority in the brand in Unilever for some years, but it has changed. We are now, imagine a brand with 150 years. It is the fastest brand growing in Unilever now for 2 years in a row. And it's a brand that has more than 1 billion euros of sales globally. And that's nothing. I'm telling you guys, like, maybe if you remember me in 5 years from now, this brand will become 5 billion euros. So maybe bigger than Dove, I hope. But it is a brand that has all the potential. We are not, our footprint is not yet in all the categories and formats and countries that we can be. So I want to start saying, this is a brand that can become 4, 5 billion euros in the next 5 to 10 years. And in order to get there, we need not just the right innovations and portfolio, but we need the right partnerships, the right collaboration. So there's anyone here in this room with ideas for Vaseline, guys, this is, I feel like once in a lifetime opportunity to really, drive this brand to the growth it can be. So it's a huge opportunity.
Great optimism to know that even a brand as big as that still has room to grow. David, to close out, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking at 2 things. First, as Louis said, turning Vaseline into the new Dove. So I would like 5-10 years from now for that to happen. I think the second thing, which he started with Vaseline Verified, and it was very arrogant of us, but because we have a very challenger mindset, we wanted to create, not just create another social first campaign. We wanted to create a benchmark for social first. And I think that's what Vaseline Verified has kind of somehow we've managed to achieve with Vaseline Verified. I would hope that, same as Dove in its time, we can keep on creating benchmarks, opening new doors, creating new paths with that brand, because that means that we'll move at the right speed.
Amazing. Here's to the next 150 years. Thank you so much, both, for being on stage with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.